Hi guys. I just wanted to say once again, thank you so much for taking this yoga teacher training. Um, I am the head of Bend into Shape Yoga. I founded it back in 2012, and I just wanted to get into some things. So, some of my favorite books that have helped me throughout my journey of herbalism and yoga and finding myself. I've always been a bookworm, so there are many. And I encourage you guys throughout the course to ask me if you guys want to go deeper on any sort of subject that you ask me for my book list, and I would be more than happy to share it with you guys, okay? But some of the ones that I highly recommend for this course, I have a lot of them saved as PDF versions in the external links. They're not really saved, but they're just free PDFs that you could get. Um, what is great about yogic philosophy is that there are so many temples, and um, due to the gurus and the yogis that come before us, we have a huge free network where people just want to help other people get to know themselves. Yoga is a unification. It is unifying mind, body, spirit. It is yoking. So it is also seen as like in my personal view, I should say, it is also seen as a like menstruation type journey, because to yoke, I think of eggs, I think of chickens laying eggs, and I always think of chicken eggs being menstrual periods. And I have had a wound to my womb for about 4 years now when I was in my land in Peru, starting the build and the discovery and kind of general feng shui of the land. I had had an accident where I fell over a piece of wood like this with my legs and had many, many complications with my bones, with some dislocations, fractures, and a prolapse of the womb. And so it's been a very long recovery, which has changed my yoga drastically. And I want you guys to understand that for your journey as well. Your yoga journey will never look like this, and it will never just look like this. Okay, it will always have an ebb and a flow to it, and it will have a spiral to it, because you will relearn lessons and you will go through the different shapes of a body. These are all topics that we will get into in the course, and I hope I weave them through with a very eloquent way as best as I can. But I'm just so excited to share with you guys. And so trying to stay on topic, I'm going to show you some of the books that I really recommend to have for this course. My first and foremost, it's like one of my yoga Bibles, is The Light on Yoga by BKS Iyengar. He is one of the like fathers of yoga in India. He was about 15-ish, and he had a muscle dystrophy. He had scoliosis. He had many, many body dysmorphic problems. And he was actually taught uh, yoga um, for a little bit of time, quite a short time. I believe it was just a couple of months. And he was able to pick his head up. And so his form of yoga is very therapeutic based. And while I have read this book since the conception of my yoga teacher training days, um, I didn't realize how important it was until after my accident. I didn't realize how how important it was to go slower, because I had been starting off my yoga career with kids when I was a kid, learning and shadowing and mentoring. And then when I was like a young adult, it was vinyasa and power flow and you know, hatha, and it was a lot faster paced. It was beach yoga, it was out in the elements, and so sometimes for the pressure of having people see, you kind of feel like you want to speed up the class, because kind of sitting in one place for a longer time just makes your brain start to go out of meditation. So sometimes in those settings, faster classes work better to control the brain. But I did not realize how important this book was until after my accident. And so as we go through this course, we're going to have a great look on it. Um, I did yoga to put my hip back into place. I was in Peru and the hospital was too far to go to. And I had dislocated my hip and it was just me and my son alone with my dog. And I was bleeding out. So I had to pop my hip back into place. I did that by doing a low lizard lunge and sliding into a um, split while being in a reverse bind. Okay, so I'm going to kind of show you what that would look like before sliding down, just because of the camera angle. But I want to show you this and continue on with why Iyengar is such an important thing in my life from that point on. One of the peak poses that will be a goal for a lot of you that I hope with this class is to do a similar maneuver. One, to protect your body in case you are in any dire situations. And two, so you have the faith that you are your own healer. Healing is the evolution of consciousness. It's one of my favorite quotes. It's one of the ones that I put in the beginning of my manual for yoga. And it can be really hard to remember that very thing, that we are the healers of our lives. And that's what I learned from BKS Iyengar. And I deeply hope to go deeper into Iyengar studies and one day be a specified Iyengar teacher. But here's the pose. I was in like a crescent lunge situation. And so you have to make sure that your hip bones are evenly pointing forward. I always like to kind of make a joke, because yoga can be playful and fun, and it helps break the ice with people who get in their brain, that your hip bones have little laser beams at the top, and so they're going to be facing the same direction. You don't want one hip to be cocked up or the other hip. You should look like this if you're having, your laser beams being uneven. So bringing that proprioception, and then you want your knee to come forward so that it's over your ankle. Then what I did was a reverse bind. So I brought my hand over here, and I brought the other hand this way. Now you heard my two joints just popped, my two shoulders. And then what I did from here, I got into my meditative breath. I felt into it. This already hurt a lot, but it wasn't going in. So I had to slide into a split from that position. It hurt a lot. Also, because I am no doctor and it was my first time and I had my child over, my child just witnessed this tragic thing. I do not do it correctly. And so it is a little bit skewed still. And it's something that I have to work with still. So my recovery began with Light on Yoga, BKS Iyengar, because this was the only book that I had on rediscovering yoga poses throughout my time there. I had brought it because as I said, I love this book ever since I first started. And I wanted something in English, and this was like the only book that I had. And it takes you through a yogic journey. You will always find poses to come and go in your life. And for me, that was a big lesson to learn. I grew up hyper flexible with everything. So in this course, you'll see a lot of modifications or reminders not to hyper flex, just so you can be aware of those types of clients. And so this will help you go through the different phases of yoga and help you regain goals or create new goals that you never knew, because he came from a place of muscle dystrophy. So as you see, I have lots of little like bookmarks in here for poses with goals and stuff like that. And he has how to get in and out of these poses. Hanumanasana, I love Hanuman as a deity. This is Hanumanasana. I don't even need a bookmark because my page has been opened so many times on this page. Due to having that experience with popping my hip back in, I cannot do a split as well as I had done prior to, but I practice it and honor it and just think of Hanuman all the time and just being a humble servant, which is what I've had to relearn to do since my accident. I had to relearn how to walk, sit up, and not have a support, roll over in bed. And so it is one of those things where it just reminds me of what I could do and where I can go back to. And when you start realizing that your mind is like associating like that, you realize that you are on a yogic path, that it's going to ebb and flow in all these ways. And um, another thing about this book that's really, really great is his appendix section. He has great appendix sections. He has different like weekly sequences, so you can start getting used to sequencing. He has a glossary for different aches and ailments in the body and different diseases in the body. So even though the USA says that you're not legally allowed to like say that it cures it, you can always say it benefits. And there is evidence, but I want you to also think that yoga will take you around the world. It is a worldly practice, and in many other cultures, they go to these types of things for intuitive healing because this is closest to what they still have available. And it's very important to them to have a whole body experience when they go to the doctor, not an isolated pain issue like is done in the USA. So, definitely check out his appendixes. For herbalism, I have tons of books. I mean, like just closely here. Um, closely here, I've got different ones available. So I've got like two different types of books for herbalism. They're just like kind of um different styles. I just love seeing cross references of herbs and herbalisms throughout different cultures. That's kind of like always been, I always felt like a little witch. So, because I grew up in Salem areas and everything, and had just an upbringing in the woods. So, yeah, I always like to go on kind of an anthropological journey of herbalisms across the cultures and like my fun time. And it's led me into some of the most amazing discoveries with herbalism. One of the coolest ones that I recently got my hands on that was actually gifted to me by this old fairy friend of mine is Back to Eden. It was like one of the first, I think, ever USA kind of like more holistic books written and published. And like sought after. It's by Jethro Klaus or Klaus. And so this gives you also a lot of healing for different things. And this is similar to one of the other books that I don't have. My only copy is in Peru, is the Hippocrates Formula by Carlos Lenti. I know I'm forgetting some of his, Carlos Lenti. He was a big um healer in Peru that one of my teachers worked with, and he had that book too. That's like one of my other Bibles, but I left it in Peru. But that one, just like this Jethro one, they both also really help you get into the mindset that you control your healing or that you are the healer. Because, in I think the Hippocrates formula, it talks about oatmeal being good for people with fatigue and kind of depleted uh ailments. And so it helps you not look as at like just big known plants, but what you have in your home that you can use readily available to you to nurture yourselves and nourish yourselves. So those are some recommendations I have. Oh, obviously everyone should have a Bhagavad Gita. Oh, wait, that's not wrong book. Um The Bhagavad Gita. This is a offshoot of the Bhagavad Gita just because I have my big Bhagavad Gita somewhere else, so you could get many different versions of them. There's this really, really cute one of the of like the Bhagavad Gita is with the Kurukshet war, where the Pandavas are fighting off their demon family members, essentially. And so there was this really cute book that I read years ago that I've been trying to find and get my hands on again, where it was like from the Pandavas' wife's perspective and like all the things that led up to that war. Um, which was just remarkable, and it was a beautiful love story. And so it it was really cool. I've also read another book that was by one of the original six Swamis that was like a playwright, because it was like written that long ago that it was like not in book form but in playwright form to share the knowledge. And that one talked about like the sheaths in a very beautiful, very simplistic way that I hope to teach you guys about later. So with that, that's just some of the things that I have. I hope you guys are excited. I hope you guys are bookworms, even if you're not. I hope you find joys in going on scavenger hunts through books for obtaining more knowledge. The more that you do that, the more you're going to get out of this class and the further along you're going to get on your transcendental path. Everyone is looking to understand themselves and what we're doing here. And I hope that this class really helps all dreamers find what is their yoga. Yoga in the USA is just seen as asanas, just the physical practice. But in my life, yoga is all those sheaths of experience together. How does it all wrap together? And what is my destiny? In doing that, in following my destiny and in following all of those lessons, I get to know myself more, I get to have more clarity, and that is my journey and my reason for coming onto this earthly plane and figuring out my sacred return to the transcendence. So thank you guys so much for listening and hearing me, and I hope you guys are excited for this journey. Ciao, thanks.